Ah, sticky. Oh, that's gross.
Oh, is it broken?
Damn. Yeah.
I'm actually nervous. I'm really nervous.
Okay, so finally, time has come to give these over. No matter what the field may be, we all have to start somewhere. Sometimes that start can be, in a word, not great. That was 2 words. There might come a time when you want to kind of look back on your starting point and see if there's something that you've learned along the way. And it's very easy for me to see over the course of over 10 years of doing this, the progression of how I've gotten to the place where I am now. But today, we're gonna have a much deeper dive and go back to the very, very beginning of kind of what kicked this all off, and I am mortified. Let's go back 14 years. I'm just gonna start with this one. So, a little story time. 14 years ago, I graduated from my high school, and I went to work as a substitute teacher at the school as well. And some of the guitars that we have been using, I have been at the school since about 5th grade, all the way to high school. And the guitars that we had in the music room were kind of very much dinged up and not in great shape. So I asked our music teacher if she would allow me to fix them up. And fix them up I did, to the best of my abilities, and the best of my abilities were kind of, so the first one that I did up was a LTD Eclipse, and okay, all right. My whole thing here with getting these guitars back into the workshop is that I want to fix the guitars that I worked on 14 years ago that got me started in the first place. And this is atrocious is a word and a half to describe this. But let's go over the obvious. So yes, the finish was applied with a paintbrush all over, painted over in a black and hand painted, I don't know, textured binding. Yeah, this used to be just a EC 400 AT, so black with cream binding, and I did get rid of all the scratches and dings and stuff like this that it had, but at what cost? Wow. This is something, let me tell you. It's also in serious need of cleanup. Let's see if there's any parts that I want to just clean, or if there's anything that I need to get new parts of. I will do complete setup, fretwork, fix everything up. Neck has worn down with age. Yeah, badly hand painted ESB and LTD logos as well. Look, I know, humble beginnings and all, we have to start somewhere, and what better way to make mistakes to learn from, and this has plenty. But I have a feeling this isn't quite as atrocious as to what I did to the other guitar. So this is, don't let the Tokai case fool you, this is a Fender. And ever since kind of being more knowledgeable of these things, I've wondered what Fender this actually is, what model. I'll go over some of the details, but yeah. Made in Japan version. So it's a S035966, and I also ruined this one. So yeah, let me get the case out of the way and we'll have a closer look at what exactly I did to this guitar. Now with this one, as it is a bolt-on neck, I decided that, hey, I'm not gonna touch the neck at all. So I'm just gonna leave that as is. So I haven't done anything to the neck, but I will do a fret job, make sure everything's good. Looks like it has been maintained. bit better than the other one. The frets aren't looking great. A bit dented. The body, where do I begin? Again, nice textured finish there. That's again done with paint brushes, I believe. Fairly heavy paint. All the screws are kind of rusted over. I might change those out. Knobs are kind of, however. We'll have a look through the electronics as well to make sure that everything works. The thing about this was, I remember when I started sanding back the original finish, I was like, man, this has like a sticker or something on top of it, or like a graphic. Well, that's funny, we'll just get rid of that. Nope, it had a flame maple veneer on both sides. And there's a little bit here where I was like, I can't be bothered. It took me forever to get rid of all the rest of it, so I'm just gonna leave a little bit there because I can't be arsed to take away the rest. So there's a little bit of what this guitar used to look like still left on it. And oh wow. I use like a 60 grit sander on this. I can't believe that they've actually had to play these guitars for over 10 years. I might keep the hand-painted school logo. That's probably the only thing that worked out good in this guitar, or okay. Now that we've gone through looking over these two guitars that I ruined, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fix these two guitars up to a professional standard, something that they should be. I want the students of my old school to have proper instruments to play. These are not. They need some help. They need some work. I owe a lot to my music teacher, Merituli, for, first of all, putting an instrument in my hand, and then furthermore, letting me do this is how I got to where I am currently. IP guitars would not be without her, and yeah, I want to repay that somehow. And fixing these two guitars up to what they're meant to be is, I think, something that I can definitely do as a thank you. This is something that I've wanted to do for years and years and years, and if I'm very honest with you, I feel like now is the perfect time to do this because I've gathered up enough mistakes that I've learned from over the years to be able to now completely and utterly make these into something totally new, completely brand new. And I have enough parts to change up everything that's rusted and gnarly, so that helps. Let's go! Alright, so let's have a look at the electronics for the guitars and see how they're faring. So there is a little bit of a grounding issue. And the switch is rather bad, but yeah, I'll have a look through all the electronics for this one, get it sorted and fixed up. How about the LTD? I started off as a bass player, or Merituli, the music teacher, stuck a bass in my hand, and that was the first instrument that I kind of got a hang of. I was never really into guitar, but this one was the one that I was more drawn to in music class. I'll have a look at the switch as well, but I guess I gotta play, always play with this guitar whenever I got to music class. Of course, I cranked the gain as much as I could, and then it was yeah, and then what was it? Don't believe I played that ever since. And yeah, this was something I played at the school band evenings as well. Man, I really do like this guitar. And I really want to do it justice. Let us start taking these two apart so we get a deep dive into what all the internals and everything look like. So let's get to it. Oh man. Ah, sticky. Oh, that's gross. No. The tuners feel funky. There's some washers missing. They're kind of, some of them are pretty broken. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I should probably dismantle the tuners as well and fix those up. That just broke. This is an acoustic guitar string. Yeah, this is from an acoustic. So yeah, I'll put 9s on these guitars. It's not like they're gonna be playing too hard. I need to make these easily playable for young kids. Ooh, these are some grimy strings. That's probably end of the school year stuff. So yeah, school's out for the summer, so it's perfect time for me to actually get her done. Do need to clean up the bridge, but I don't think I need to do any replacement. Oh yeah, I didn't remove these, so they've been sanded as well. Not ideal, but I shall remove them this time around. Oh wow, yeah. Bunch of gunk. I need to have a look at, this has come loose. There's probably, someone's put glue in there. The pickups need to be cleaned. They're kind of gross, as are a lot of parts here, so I'm just gonna start a parts bag. The worst of the screws that are completely like, you know, rusted through, I'm gonna switch out to new ones. So this used to be black with cream binding, and we're gonna try and go for some sort of similar aesthetic here. Try and get it back to its former glory. Don't believe that is a screw to hold in the jack plate. I found the screws that were supposed to be here. So I didn't know what I was doing. So this one and this one are jack screws instead of pickup surround screws. Yeah, the pickup surrounds, those as well, I have painted by hand. As you can see, they used to be the cream. So I might as well just get new pickup surrounds. The clip's done, let's move on to the Strat. We have now disassembled both guitars, the Fender Strat and the LTD Eclipse. There's a lot of work to do. The next step really is to remove the old cruddy finish off of both of these, fix up issues that I have created. Yeah, from what I can tell, from parts that I need to order new, definitely the pins for the bridge on the Eclipse, those need to be redone because they have been totaled from me having sanded through them way back when. So I'm gonna do those up. And the tuners, they were in absolute abysmal condition and not great. So I'm thinking that I might gift some new tuners for this guitar. But the main thing is, the very good thing is that there's actually no structural damage that I need to take care of. It's all cosmetic. Now, the Strat. Of course, we're gonna sand it down, make sure that I remove whatever little bits of the old veneer that are left, so I actually get a nice flush finish on this. Might have to put it through the drum sander to get it nice and flat. We shall see. But the thing that I'm thinking, because I did ruin the flame maple veneer on this, that I might put some Carillion birch veneer on this. I'll actually put some shielding paint in there because there's none in there right now. Electronics though got cleaned up. Didn't really notice anything too drastic about them. Eclipse's hardware also needs cleaning up, as does the Strats, but nothing too major. Like I said, all cosmetic, so let us head to the workshop, get these two sanded down, and see what's what. Move on from there. So these are made in Japan, ST62. Don't know what the DGF stands for. Tried to look, but I couldn't find any information. So this Strat should be from about 94 to 97, I believe. Strat, Japanese made. For what it's worth, I mean, I can't make it look worse. Alrighty, so we are slowly but surely getting off the finish on these guitars, and I thought that it would be a good time to kind of talk about one thing. So here we have two very good examples of two very distinct ways of going about refinishing. Now, for the Strat itself, everything is, as you can see, all of the old finish has been completely stripped off, and it's getting refinished in this manner. I'll talk more about that in just one moment. While the Eclipse itself isn't all the way to the wood all over the place. Now, there's a very good reason for this. Let's start with the Strat. The whole idea is that originally I was going to put a veneer top on this because I had sanded away the previous one. Decided against that just because I couldn't find a very good way of doing it, making sure that all the holes are lining up perfectly well. But also I don't need to, because this piece right here is ridiculously flamed, so it's going to look great because the pick guard's going to be there. That's the main part that you're going to be seeing anyway, so that's good. That's going to be dealt with. So the Strat is going to get stained. It's going to have the same sort of cherry burst that it started life off with, and that entails taking it all the way down to wood so I can actually stain the entire thing. Meanwhile, with the Eclipse, for a very long time I debated about the fact of, do I want to have it be transparent? Do I want to do like a transparent black on this? But the school already has a bunch of these, and I figured that I would do my best to get these back to what they were when they first started. So get them back to pretty much what they look like in the factory. So this used to be a gloss black with cream binding Eclipse. I'm sure you've seen a bunch of these. So to that end, this is going to get paint. It's going to get black paint on it and then clear coats and stuff like this. Now, the reason I'm not pulling it all the way back all over the place to completely bare wood is because what's happening to this guitar now is all the grain filler is going to go on, then sealer coats to make it uniform so that I have a flat surface to put paint on top of. Now, because this is getting paint, I don't need to worry about the fact of like, oh, well, you know, you can see that this is black, but this isn't completely black, because it's all going to look uniform in the end. What I do need to make sure is that any sealer coat and any sort of paint or anything left over is flat but scuffed enough for a new layer of paint to actually stick onto. This way I can make sure that I will actually get a nice clean finish all over the place without having to deal with doing tons and tons of grain filler because I've stripped everything back to wood. I don't need to do that. It's just an unnecessary step at this point. Makes my life easier, but doesn't affect the outcome to do it in this manner, to have a little bit of the sealer coat left here and there. Now, the reason why there is a lot of bare wood is because I had to get it even. You saw the horrible brush strokes that this thing had. Yeah, that's a part of it, but also because of how I had used like one of those triangular sanders, little hand sander things. I was digging into it with like 80 grit sandpaper here and there, so there were a lot of divots and a lot of just not uniformness. So I had to go and get everything flat, and clearly I didn't take off all of the old previous paint either. So now it's just a matter of making sure that I have somewhere where I can work up from. Currently, this has been very roughly sanded. I'm gonna wet the bare wood parts just so I can get the grain raised a bit and kind of see what's what. It also helps clean up kind of all the dust off, so I know where I'm at. I'm going to be getting this up to, I believe, about 240. Then I'm going to use grain filler. I'm going to use the Stu Mac Color Tone water-based clear because this will definitely do the trick. I'm going to apply this, sand that back, probably put on another layer, make sure that I actually get a flat surface to put paint on top of. Meanwhile, the Strat, as you already saw there previously, this has already been, I've wet the grain once. This had been sanded to about 240. So now I'm going to take it back. I'm probably going to start up from, by the looks of it, I could start up from 240 and work my way up. I'm probably gonna take this up to 320 and then start putting on the layers of stain. So I'm gonna have a black stain and gonna get most of that off just so I have some of the black in the figuring to make that pop. Then it's gonna be cherry and you know, crimson red, and really try and make this pop and get a nice burst on the front and also on the back. And I have a good feeling about this. I'm really excited about how that flame is gonna pop on this piece right here. I think it's gonna look great. So yeah, wet the grain on this and then continue with this. Alrighty, time to fill some grain. So, gonna be using the Color Tone water-based grain filler clear. I got this from Stu Mac. I've liked it a fair bit, used it a couple of times now. Still trying to kind of like get to grips with it, but so very easy to work with. Just put on plenty and get it in place. I believe I'm doing this a bit incorrectly now, so then we're gonna get the excess off with the squeegee there. So what this is gonna enable me to do is get a flat surface to work with when it comes time to start putting on paint, clear coat, stuff like this. So instead of having to put on sealer coats and stuff like this, this is kind of doing that bit for me. Then we're gonna apply plenty, rub it into the grain, and then we're gonna remove excess so we don't get these lumps. I'm just gonna apply this pretty generously. And then once this is dry, I'm gonna sand it back and see how it looks, and then come back for a second round if it looks like we didn't manage to get everything filled up. That's it, and we'll come back and sand away the excess. Really trying not to take it out of the grain here, and just really scraping off just the tops here. There we are. All right. By the looks of it, that's pretty much in the grain there. Great, awesome. Moving onwards. All right, hi there, friends. We're gonna do a little bit of coloring here. Gonna start off with a little bit of paper and some rough and black here. And don't worry about the dark black color. It's only gonna be a little bit of a base. Little rain cloud, dark little rain cloud that's gonna bring some rain, make everything nice and lively. Every light casts a little bit of shadow, and that's all right. That's just how it is sometimes. Gonna apply this real nice and consistent looking. Bring out that character in the wood there. That's nice, that's lovely. I'm not gonna put too much now. Just want a little bit of black. When it dries, it's gonna look real nice, real good. Sure to get that all over. So we get a nice even color going all the way across. Dark and stormy color now, but after every storm, the sun shines through. So that's what we're gonna think of this as. I think of this as a nice little bit of moody storm clouds before the color comes in and brightens our day. That is what we're gonna do. And there we are. And that's real nice. We're gonna let that settle down there for a little bit. And we're gonna come back. And we're gonna make the storm clouds go away. That's what we're gonna do. While the Strat's stain is drying up, we're going to sand back all this with a little bit of 240. And see how well we've managed to get the grain filler in there. We're gonna check that up against the light. I think there is a likelihood that we might have to do a second coat, which is fine. That was kind of to be expected. But let's just sand this all back before making a final call on how we're gonna go about it. Because when we start doing paint, we're gonna go through primer and everything else as well. So that will give us a pretty good idea on the final flatness of everything as well when we get to that stage. Little parts here that are need to be done by hand. So I'm gonna keep on sanding this back, and then I'm gonna turn the camera back on so we can look at the result of it. All right, so now we're just gonna sand down the black here. We're gonna make those dark rain clouds go away. Bring out the sunlight. Doesn't matter if we have a little bit of darkness every now and then. A little bit of sanding makes all that darkness go away. Leave a little bit of shade in the sun. It's all right if you have a little bit of darker day in your life right now. Just like this, it can easily go away. Sometimes that little bit of darkness will just bring back color even deeper. Let's have a look here. Clean it up a little bit. That's nice. That's wonderful. Just gonna take it back ever so slightly more. Alright, we've cleaned up the binding now, and the next thing to do is to actually put on some masking and get ready for the first layers of paint. So the sealer coats or primer layers. And what I'm going to do is I'm first going to mask up all the binding, and then we'll move on to masking up the fretboard. It's very easy to manage when you don't have sweaty hands like mine. So tell you what, I am gonna go wash my hands, make sure that they're nice and dry, and then come back to this. Making sure to burnish down so I don't get any unwanted leaks when I start doing the sprays. Alright, and now even though it's a straight line, I'm just gonna do little bits at a time, following the line with my finger. Excuse the noises from outside, there's a football field. soccer field for my American viewers. There we are. Chop off the end there. Maybe off the scissors because it might be easier. There we go. Whenever you're doing any sort of masking, you don't really want any sort of flappy overhang bits. You do want to get everything nicely burnished down so that nothing gets caught. Now this is one of those things where you don't want to rush anything. You do want to take your time. Make sure that you're doing a careful job at this, because a bad masking job will mean that you might end up with stuff you need to fix later on. So the better your masking is, the less likely you are to have a need to come back and fix anything. Now it's worth noting as well that while I'm putting the masking tape down on the binding, I'm not going to the joint line of the binding and the neck. I'm going a little bit so that there's a tiny bit of masking, tiny bit of the binding that's also going to get painted over. And it's just to make sure that I get a nice crisp line between the paint and the binding, and doing away with any sort of need of having to patch up black paint after the fact. I mean, black is already hard enough to deal with, so easier I can make things for myself at this point, the better. Sorry, you had camera audio that entire time, because while my mics are on, they weren't plugged in. So, there. The cable was just hanging about, and yeah. I do apologize. Alright, so, oh, that flashing light looks great. Yeah, I forgot to check that I have battery. Hopefully it will last however long it will last. What we're going to be doing is putting on the first layers of clear on the Strat and the first layers of black for the Eclipse. Coming back tomorrow to put on some of the sealer that we already once put on here, but now on top of paint, so it should actually stick a little better. And we're gonna put on, because I don't have decals. Oh, that's not great. Okay, I don't have decals, but we're just gonna do that by hand. All right, we're gonna be using Maston 1 products. Maston's been kind enough to send me a bunch of stuff, so we're gonna be using the satin black for the black, and then all the clear coats are gonna be done with the Maston 2 component 2K high gloss Wise 2K clear coats or lacquer. So we're going to be using these two, and yeah, let's see how long the camera lasts when we go in the spray booth. Sorry about the flashing lights, not really much I can do about that. So, party on. I'm not going to walk you through the process here. This is something you've seen me do a bunch of times before on this channel. So I'm just going to get to it. Be sure to check out some of the earlier videos up in that corner right there. But without further ado, let's get into it. Why is this not working? Oh, is it broken? So yeah, I had 2 faulty cans of clear, so I'm pissed off. But hey, let's do the black, seeing as that works.
back in 5 minutes to do the second layer.
Once again, really sorry for the flashing light, but the base coat now, so the primer layers of black done on the Eclipse, and we'll come back tomorrow. We'll put on some of the whatchamacallit, grain filler, do all the decals, and then hopefully I'll come back with another set of spray cans to do the strap. Disappointing Tuesday morning, to say the least. Gonna have a chat with Maston about the lacquers. Okay, look, was I pissed off that, like, my spray cans were, well, not working? Yes. Was it also my fault? Also yes. Are Maston great people? Yes. So I was mad about, having spray cans that weren't working, as in there was no propellant, so I couldn't get any of the clear coat out, which meant delays, which aggravated me. And, well, the truth is, Maston sent me those sprays last September, and due to them being 2K lacquer, their shelf life is not that long in comparison to perhaps the black primer that I had. Yeah, Maston were awesome, and they sent me new cans. So I am going to use these. They sent me different stuff. No. So these, the car rep stuff. This stuff lasts frickin' forever. I can use a can and come back to it like months later and it'll still work just fine. What I was using for these guitars, as you saw earlier, is the Maston 2 high class. I mean, this is polyurethane as well. However, the reason I wanted to use this is because I am on limited time, and this stuff is touch dry in 50 minutes. This stuff is touch dry in 12 hours. If it was my own spray booth, this would be completely fine, but because it is a maker space and other people use that spray booth. Currently, there's like 3 people, like me being one of them. There's 2 other people and me, kind of like at this current moment, juggling using that area. If I have anything that's taking more than an hour to dry, it's not good, and more than likely will get damaged because somebody will go in there and then there'll be dust and particles, and they'll try and move it. They might get fingerprints on it, and it'll just get ruined. So, okay, for future, absolutely fantastic. Thank you, Maston, for sending me Car Rep 2K polyurethane clear lacquers. Damn. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, in the meantime, I need to put in the serial number that we uncovered. Write it in there, put the ESP logo and LTT logo on the front. So let me just dig up what that serial number was. Find my pens that I had put here in the morning. Why is this so chaotic? Seriously. I put them right here. Where are they? Oh, life is really testing me right now. There we are. So we're looking at serial number W041048. It's all right. Let's see if I can do this handheld. From far enough, it looks all right. I decided to go ahead and spray with the car rep because I have experience with it. It's just going to take longer to dry, which is fine. I'm going to do 2 layers, 5 minutes in between the 2, on the Strat. We're gonna do some black on the Eclipse after that. Tomorrow I'll come and do the next session of clears for both of those, and yeah, should be good on Saturday then. It's Thursday now, that is. We'll see how things go. A clean room this place does not have, so there will be particles in the air. I hope that I'll be able to keep that to a bare minimum, but we'll see. I'll do the best I can.
First layer is always going to be a bit thinner. We're going to leave it at that. I'll let it dry for 5 minutes and I'll come back to it. I'll put a timer going.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this on.
I'll probably put subtitles if you can't understand. But yeah, so in 5 minutes, the color is just going to deepen. We're going to get a lot more figuring out of it, or it's going to look a lot more after we put the second coat on. The first coat is just kind of a mist coat so that the second coat has something to grab onto and hold onto. So it should look a hell of a lot better in the next layer. We'll see in just a sec. It's going to be 5 minutes for me, but it's going to be seconds for you. So let's see how well the sealer coat or the sanding sealer worked here. Not super. Put 3 layers of the stuff on and it's still kind of Now we're gonna wait 5 minutes again and do that again. Alright, so that is starting to look pretty decent. Went on pretty nice. I'm a bit dissatisfied with how the grain filler didn't really work for the black, but we'll make it work.
I don't know how much battery I have left in my microphone here, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to clean up the binding on the Eclipse and get it ready for clear coats, and essentially fix up all the headstock details that we did yesterday, because those have got a bit of overspray on them from yesterday's spray session, which is fine. But look at that. I mean, it's already looking tons better. The grain filler really didn't work, and unfortunately it's just something that we have to deal with. I mean, I hate the fact that I don't have more time, because I would love to, love to be able to fill up all of that grain and get it to a really, really crisp black. But while yes, I don't have time,
Here's also the fact that I'm limited to the tools at my disposal. And the tools at my disposal currently don't allow me to do a good enough job of, of getting it completely flat. It's a shame. But I will do my utmost to, well, do the best that I can with the tools that I do possess.
Good. So there's a fair bit of cleanup to do with razor blades and scalpel blades and stuff like this. And I'm probably just going to do a time lapse of the whole lot. Mostly because I'm running out of battery on my microphone here. So yeah, time lapse time it is. We have now come back from spraying down these guitars. And yeah, next up would be flat sanding and polishing. However, I did do a little test. So my own personal Ibanez here. This has the same amount of clear coats as the Eclipse does, and I did the flat sanding for it, and around the 1500 grit I went through the clear coat, which, you know, I kind of suspected might happen. And then I tried on the front to kind of go a little, well, I cannot cheat the system, so I only did 1500 and 2000 and then polished it up. And there's two things that I've noticed. First off, well, yeah, I went through, so clearly there weren't enough clear coats, or not enough of a buildup of clear coats on this. So I suspect that because this has the same as the Eclipse, I might go through the Eclipse if I start flat sanding that now. Then, with only doing 1500 and 2000 grit for sanding down the top of this guitar and then polishing it up, there are a lot of scratches left over from those because I'm not really building up and removing scratches with different layers. I'm only doing 2 sanding sessions, and that's not really, well, it wasn't really good enough. Now, due to time constraints and trying to kind of juggle everything, make sure that I get these guitars finished up before the school year starts, I've had to kind of think about what I'm going to do with these. Now, they look great now. Even if I did flat sanding on these, if I do go through, I do not have the time to go and spray more clear coats on these. There's just no way. I would not have time to do that, which is really unfortunate. Now, I could start sanding these, but if at any point go through, I will need to refinish the entire thing, and that I just can't afford to do. So, and cheating the systems, as it were, won't even work because then I'll have scratches all over, and that'll piss me off. So I think, regrettably, what I have to do is, well, essentially polish them up as they are currently, straight out of the spray can,
which is fine. They'll just have a little bit of the tangerine texture, but we'll get these nicely polished up and looking fantastic, so we can actually get to assembly and all the rest of the work that needs to be done for these. So yeah, let's do that. Let us first tackle the Strat here, and we're going to be using Menzerna polishers. So I have a 400, moving up to a 2500, and then finishing it up with a 3500. So these should be good enough to get a very, very nice end result at the end of things. So let's see what happens. Let's go for it. Look, the last thing I want to do is half-ass this in any way, but I do need to be realistic as well. If I don't have the time, I don't have the time. I have to do the best that I can with the time that is available to me. So this is what we're going to do, and we're going to make the best of it. So first, applying the 400 grit polishing compound. We're going to rub that in. And the really great thing about using this car rep poly is that it's just going to keep on getting harder for the next 14 days or so, 12 days. I can't remember what it says on the can. I should check. It says 14 days. And then after that, it will be chemical resistant, because it is a car paint. So it's going to be chemical resistant in 14 days. I don't think that's going to be an issue with, considering these are school guitars. It should be just fine. But yeah, so we're just going to work up through the grits and get this looking nice and shiny. Good bit of elbow grease put into this. Gonna wipe away all the excess residue with the microfiber cloth here. And really, whenever doing anything like polishing and finishing work and stuff like this, natural light is what you want. So you do want to keep on checking up against natural light to see if there's any scratches or any bits that you've missed. I have a window right here behind me. Let's move on to 2500. That's moments like this that I really wish I had a buffing wheel. This process, all that much easier. Now, buffing compound in itself has essentially grain in it, so it isn't abrasive. So I am technically still doing a little bit of sanding here, but using a paste instead of sandpaper. The whole idea here is to kind of apply a good amount and then rub it away in circles until it's dry, and then remove all the excess that's on the top just with a microfiber cloth. Clean up the surface in preparation for the next spin. Now, if there's parts that I miss, I'll just have to go back and redo. So I'm trying to kind of work in sections here to make sure that I don't really miss any bits. But you can really put your back into it. Now there's a little bit that was missed, so I'll have to go back and redo that bit. By the looks of it, a little bit here. Come back to, yep. So let's redo that bit again. Oh, that's a lot. Okay. That's a bit too much, I do believe. So we'll have to get rid of some of that. But yeah, so I'm gonna do the 2500, then move on to the final bit, which is the 3500, and I'll time lapse this.
Now the Eclipse, on the other hand, needs a little bit of more work before we get to polishing. So first, we'll just remove the masking. Careful not to chip any of the clear coat there. Now I am really happy with how this one turned out. Without a doubt, one of the hardest finishes to do is solid black high gloss. If I wanted to do this completely and utterly right, to the best of my abilities, I would spend so much time on this.
Unfortunately, that is just time that I do not have. It would take a long time because black will show every single bit of scratches and inconsistency, which was giving me a little bit of anxiety at the start of this project, but you know, I think what I managed to get off the gun, as it were, is it's relatively okay. So now I'm just gonna clean up the edge here, so where the clear coat meets the fretboard, because there's a little bit of a sharp edge. Getting rid of that just by scraping it away. And the reason you do this as well is just to make sure that at no point during the lifespan of this guitar will the clear coat kind of get stuck on something and get lifted off. So just by making sure that there is no hard corner or hard edge, I'm kind of getting rid of any sort of major issues that we might run into down the line. Next up, we have an entire fretwork process to go. So we're going to be, of course, cleaning everything up, cleaning up the fretboard, but also doing a fret level, crown, and polish. Hopefully there are a couple of dents in there, but I was looking at the frets. They should be okay for just a fret level, because there's only dents in the first three frets here, so I don't see if there will be really a need for an entire refret at this stage. So this is nice and flat. I had already actually done this and adjusted the truss rod, but you know, I didn't film it, so I'm checking it again. Let's mask off the fretboard, but I'm thinking that maybe it's best that at this point already I clean everything up, because there's quite a lot of gunk on there. So we'll get nice clean frets and move on from there. Alright, so I'm just going to use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol for this neck. Yeah, well, that's not too bad. I feel like this Strat has had a little bit of work done in the meantime, because it's not quite as filthy as the Eclipse. And it looks like the frets have been leveled once before, or leveled and crowned at some point. Masking off the fretboard in preparation for fretwork. We're going to have this looking brand new in no time at all. And I was just talking about this is probably the last time that these frets will get leveled and crowned, because they've kind of, after this, they will need to be refretted, or the neck will need to be refretted, because these are still the originals and they're pretty banged up, and I'll try my best to keep them still functional for this neck, so I don't need to do a refret. Not that I would mind, but of course, if we can still get use out of these frets, then even better, because it's, yeah, like I said, only the first three frets are kind of like a issue area where they're a bit not that great. And then just do a small fall away. A little bit of tape on the 12th fret there. And then we're going to tape up half of the leveling beam here. And we're just going to focus on these three here. So make sure I have the tape part there. And then essentially just creating a tiny, tiny little ramp to make playing at a higher register feel a little bit nicer. There. I think that should about do it. Remove that. Remark all the frets again. But this time, prepare for crowning. So now comes the tedious part. I'm gonna use a couple of different sandpapers because now we have cuts from the sandpaper from the leveling beam going that way. So when you're playing, it's gonna feel pretty rough. So we're gonna even those out by sanding with the frets. And then we're gonna use some fretboard or fret abrasives to polish them up and finally finish them up in a metal polish to get a nice mirror shine. Don't need to do the fret ends. They were actually pretty okay, nicely rounded over. There's no sharp edges, so I think they're going to be fine. If I need to come back and deal with them, I will, but for the time being, they look pretty good. So. Frets leveled, crowned, polished, and the fretboard also cleaned up and oiled. And this one is looking brand new now. And now to repeat the same process for the Eclipse. There are little dents here. We'll see when we get the strings on, we'll see how bad those are playing wise. Yeah, we'll see. They should be fine. I mean, even if I do switch out just like the few frets, they'll be a different size, so it would be worth changing all of them. So yeah, let's come back to this when it's on the body with strings on. Right, moving on. All right, now I suspect that there's going to be a lot of gunk coming off of this. The finish isn't chemical resistant yet, so I don't want to use IPA. So I'm going to use Diodario spray cleaner. Should be a little more friendly. I think I managed to get... Oh, okay, never mind. Yeah, no. Oh, there's so much gunk on here. Okay, I might need to use IPA for this. Yeah, all right. Okay, so vacation time over. And these have now dried up and hardened over the past 2 weeks. And it's time to put them together in preparation to, well, get them back to the school. So let's start with the Strat, because that's the one I pulled up right now. There's a couple of things that I'm gonna renew when it comes to this one, but first I'm just gonna pull out all the hardware so that we're ready to kind of start the assembly process. So you give me a sec while I put everything in place. All the necessary components kind of laid out here. There's a few things that we do kind of need to have a look at. Well, first off, the pick guard, because it has clear cone on it, it hasn't aged in the same way that the rest of the plastic bits have. As you can see, that's the original color. It is white, but it's gone pretty cream. I decided that I want to kind of make this look a bit more fresh. If we take one of the screws for the pick guard really, let me look at this. They're nasty, gross, and just rusted most of the way. The pickup mounting screws are kind of looking a little rough as well. So I got new spares. These are gonna look great. Volume knobs, or volume and tone knobs, doesn't look quite that bad when you look at it up close like this. I mean, the age thing, kind of okay, but it is a school guitar. And I know kids are probably gonna be like, but it's old, it's not cool, it's not really something I want to play. So instead of having the old knobs, we're going to put something white, and now you're going to see the difference here. This is the color they used to be. So yeah, I'm going to go with these. Also because now we have a pick guard that has white on it, and these fit a little bit nicer in comparison to something like this, which doesn't really fit. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any backplate replacement for now, for the time being. Then the pickup covers, which also I don't think I really took off when I painted this. I think I taped them up, but we're going to remove these because they're just replaceable, and we're going to put in brand spanking new ones. It still has the plastic on top, but we're going to peel that a little later. The difference. And these were dirty. I'll try and see if I can kind of fix up the pole pieces somehow, because they're rusty. I don't know how much I'll be able to save them, but I'll use some fret polishing abrasives. Maybe that'll fix it. And then there's the switch tip, which I had several options for, and I believe that is probably the closest looking one. Yeah, I think that's the one. So we're going to go with that to replace the switch tip. And I figured a good place to start is to just start assembling the pick guard and have this ready to go so we can just put it in the guitar. Yeah, so I'm going to get to cleaning this all up and put some music playing in the background as I do.
Strat is strung up, waiting for setup, and looking great. So we're going to move on to the Eclipse. Now, with this one, there's a couple of things that we're going to implement new parts for. First thing that I noticed was the fact that these pickup surrounds that I had painted up from the original cream and the switch tip, they won't really do anymore, so we're going to bin those because they're horrible. We're going to replace those with new bits. So brand new cream pickup surrounds to match what they originally were. And as mentioned previously, the posts, the ferrules for the bridge posts are, destroyed a little bit. So we're going to chuck those as well. And we're going to put in new ones. Now these are the same threads, and as I couldn't buy just the ferrules, I'm going to have a look at how bad these are, the original components. And I think, at least for the front posts, I'm going to switch them out. So here on the left you have the originals, and on the right you have the new ones. Not all dissimilar, the threads are the same, except the knurling is a bit nicer on the new ones. So I might put new posts in. The tops of them are also kind of a bit haggard. So at least for the front ones, the tailpiece posts don't look that bad. I could replace them if I wanted to, but yeah, I'll have a look. Strap buttons had two different screws, so I'm going to replace the screws, and there was a half felt, so I'm going to put new felt. All of the small screws for the surrounds and everything else, they're not great, so I'm going to replace those as well. So new screws. The machine heads, the original Grover machine heads they're not all great. Some of them are a bit broken, so I'm going to replace those with Goto machine heads. So we have nice, good, well-working tuners for this beastie. And in general, we're just going to clean things up. Going to clean up the pickup covers as well. It's funny how they're two different shades of nickel. There's not much we can do about that because one is newer and one is older. Going to clean all the electronics with electronic cleaner. Clean all the hardware parts with chrome polish, and in general, the bridge is pretty nasty, so we're going to give that a good thorough clean. Both of these guitars have now been assembled and strung up. I'm going to let them settle now for a little bit to get all the tension set so that I don't need to have to do it twice. So tuned up, strung up, assembled, and tensioned up. We're going to let these be for a little bit, and I'm going to do the final setup final setup right before we go and give these back to the school. And then we're going to do some final reveals, so check these out. For me, it's going to be like, what, a little closer to a week. For you guys, it's going to be a matter of seconds. So here we go. The time has come for the final push on these two guitars. They will be handed back on Wednesday, and it is Monday now. So they've been resting now for, I think, a week and a half or something like that. So they should be pretty settled in. All the strings should be fine. Now it's time to do final setup. Now what final setup means is I'm going to check for the intonation. I'm going to check the action, pickup height, and truss rod adjustment. Make sure that all of that is good. Do an electronics check. Make sure that everything sounds good the way that it's supposed to. And yeah, then pack them up and get them back to the school. And we're going to do final reveals at the school there. But hey, I'm just going to get to it. Then I'm going to do final cleanups, make sure that I don't have any fingerprints on everything, as I do right now. So a little bit of polish. And yeah, I'm just going to put some music or a podcast playing in the background or something, I don't know, YouTube video, and get to work. Cool. That works. Now to polish her up and put her back in. So I'm just about at the school to give back the guitars, and I'm actually nervous. I'm really nervous. Don't know why. Yeah, let's see what my old music teacher Merituli thinks of the finished guitars. Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so finally, time has come to give these over. Just a little bit of history and background here. So Merituli has been my music teacher since 5th grade. I think, 5th grade up until the end of high school. And you were the first person to put an instrument in my hand. You told me that you're going to play bass for this song. And that got me interested in music, got me stuck, and I'm still working with music nowadays. Then when I came to work with the school, 2010 or something like that, 14 years ago, you had faith in me to paint up 2 of the guitars that were kind of beaten up. I did my best with what I got. I thought I did a good job, and thanks to your encouragement, that's why I'm here, and how I'm still working on guitars professionally. And these 2 are now completely done up as a thank you for having faith in me all those years back.
Yes, of course. Yes, my pleasure.
So,
Right.
First off, it was a shock seeing these after 14 years. They were still in use, but I'm glad they've been in use. Hopefully they will have many more years to come.
Oi, wow.
So,
Really cool.
completely refinished, because it was what it was way back when. I replaced all the rusted screws, replaced some plastic parts because they weren't really that good anymore with the white. They were offset different colors and kind of not really working as they were. Did full frets, all the fretboard, tuned it, intonated, set everything up, checked all the electronics, made sure that it's working as it should. And didn't want to get rid of the old logo.
That has been the thing that has been fascinating the students.
And I didn't want to get rid of that because that has some. It's. I'm not sure if that's probably not the one that's in use anymore. It was a little bit different.
It is used.
Okay, good.
Nowadays, the
Good.
coat of arms, the old coat of arms.
Yeah.
Because that's what the students prefer. Actually.
Ah, right. Yeah, because I just saw the one that's on the wall over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a bit different. But yeah, I'm glad. I didn't want to get rid of that because it kind of what makes it a bit different.
Yeah.
And the school's guitar, definitely.
Yes.
Well, that's probably not as wild of a difference. This, on the other hand, a little bit more work done.
Okay.
Because it was a bit in desperate need of a lot of repair.
Love it.
So,
Ooh.
I'm not even sure if you recognize it anymore. So, new parts because they were destroyed. I noticed that the tuners were broken. So I replaced it. It now has completely new tuners. So now it'll stay in tune. You can actually play it and it'll actually work. Did all the fretwork, did all the polished up, oiled fretboards and intonated and made sure that it works, and all the electronics were checked and cleaned. And yeah.
Yes. Wonderful. It's really interesting because this is probably the oldest that we are still using or have been using, even though it was in a bit of a interesting condition already. But the students always wanted to play this.
Yeah.
I think it's because of the coat of arms. A little bit because of that.
Yeah.
So they'd be
But
really
hopefully they'll.
happy to see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a good condition as well.
Definitely. And I'm not sure that they'll even recognize that that's the same guitar version.
Yeah.
It was a bit different.
Yeah.
And I remember when I brought in the one that I had repainted, you commented, the neck feels weird. I'm not sure if the guitarists are gonna like it.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But some actually said that it's somewhat nice also. That
it's
not so.
Yeah, maybe like after now that I have worn down a little bit. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I know that it's kind of like a more common thing is like customers want it to be a bit more satin feeling instead of like a very shiny gloss because that tends to be sticky.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thank you ever so. It has been such a
this
pleasure.
was my pleasure because I've wanted to do this for years. But I think now was the right time in my career as well that made sense to do this.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I would have done I don't think I would have done this sort of job or this level of a job previously. So I think the stars aligned.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
sir.
you. Very formal, yeah. And there we have it. The guitars are finally back home and ready to be played properly for many more decades to come, I hope. I am so happy that I got a chance to do this. And at the end of the day, I have to thank the director Petri Borinen as well from the English School of Helsinki. Have to thank the school. Thank you to Merituli all those years back. Everything you already heard many times over, but thank you so much for pushing me and getting to where I am currently. Thank you also to Maston for supplying the clear coats and the paints that went into this project. Couldn't have done it without these products. And thanks, of course, to Vuokraverstas for, you know, giving me access to the workshop and the spray booth. That's where I usually work, but thank you anyway. I don't say it enough on videos. It really makes all this work possible because there's no way I would be able to do it from, you know, my spare bedroom in my apartment building. But cannot be said enough. Thank you to you for watching this video. And if you've been following the channel for years or even days or even just a few minutes or even this hour and a half that has gone into this video, thank you so much for sticking out for a longer video. I know these aren't that popular on YouTube, but I really do appreciate every single one of you. Let me know what you think down below. Do all the usual things. If you want to support the channel, subscribe, comment, like, and all that fun jazz. And I will see you guys in the next video, whenever that may be. Thank you so much. I've been Tomi Kokko from IP Guitars, and signing off for now. Bye.